So, hello guys. So today our topic is functions. Function is one of the most important topics in the field of programming because in real world we have to work on a lot of code. So with the help of functions we can increase the reusability of our code. Like we have to write lengthy code. So instead of writing same code again and again, we just write our code in a single function and then we just have to call our function and that code will work for us. We don't have to write. So let's better understand function. Let me take a list, and in that list we have some integer values. So let me just take some numbers and 5 and 78. So this is our list. So sum, we are using sum to get the sum of this list. We can see that we get the sum of the whole list, but we don't know what's going behind this sum. We are just using this function. We don't know what are the parameters which lie behind this function, but we are just, so this is a type of function. We can also get the type of our list, like here. So type gives us the type of in the value we pass in it, either it's list, string, integer, whatever it is. So there is always something running behind these functions, but we don't know. We are just calling them and using them without knowing what's going behind. So this whole is the scenario in the field of function. So let's see another example, and we will see how to create a function in Python. So let's define our function. So in Python we can define our function using def keyword. Def means define or definition, whatever you can take it. So let's take our function name. This is our name of function, and these are the closing brackets which initialize that it is a function, and then we have to pass some function, like what role does it play or what function it needs to perform. The function which it needs to perform, we define it in the functions body. So we let me just run this. So we can see that in incomplete input, like this function is created but nothing inside in this function, so that's why it is giving us an error. So let us pass something, like uh, we want this function to print something for us. So I am writing a print statement like this. So this is my first learn function. So now we can see that it completed successfully without an error. So now we have defined the function or role for this function, that it has to print this statement. So it displays nothing until we call that function. So let's call this function in another terminal. So yeah, here we have just we call our function, then it prints this input inside it, like what the function was of this function. It has to print this statement, so it printed statement for us. So learn is returning, like it's printing a string for us, like as we call print function inside our learn function. So it is printing this statement. Now let's try to concatenate a string with it. So let's take as then. So what error we are getting? We are getting none type and string. So this is our string, and learn function is giving us a none type. So why it is giving none type? Because the print function we are using is print return always none type. So let's print the type of the print function. So what we see that it's none type. So print function is a none type, and we are adding a none type in string. So that's why it's giving an error. Now we want that the function we have created, it should return something. If it does not return anything, then there is no meaning of that function. So let's use this reserve keyword which returns. it returns whatever we pass it. Either we pass it string, number, integer, float, whatever we pass to it, it just return it as it is as. So let's return this. This is my first return of learn function. So now we have successfully completed. Now if we try to concatenate our learn function plus string, so let me take my name here. Now we can see that it has successfully concatenated our value. So let me give a space in between. We can see that here it has successfully returned our name concatenating along with the whole string. Now let us try to create another function like learn to column. Here return, like we can give name. It is a string type. Now give us a number. Now let us give us a float value. Here now we can give a dictionary. Sorry, set 4215, comma, and list of 54, 33, 25. So if we run that, it's executed successfully because return does not take care of like whatever we pass it. It's simply function just return the thing we pass it. It does not look what is the type or anything. So let's print our function. So let's run our function. We can see that all the values contained. Now we want that all the values in this function we want to assign to any variable. So let's count that how many, one, two, three, four, five. We have five values. So let's say b e equal to learn to. Now if we run that function, these values are assigned successfully. So if we run a, then we get string. If we run b, then we get integer, and if we run like e, then we get list. So now let's test some one thing, like if we pass and let us pass an empty tuple in this function. So now we run it, executes successfully, and if we run it again, then now if we assign this value to any variable, does it will work? So let's see this. Now let's see if we run it. So yeah, it executes successfully. If we run b, so the value for b is 34, c, and if we run e, so we can see that it is giving us an empty tuple. So if we try to run two variables, we can see that all this is getting returned in the form of tuple. One empty tuple, the value of e, and d, the value of d. So now let me just take a function which performs some mm, like we pass some argument in this function. So we are a plus b divided by c and return the result. Now our function is taking three arguments, and these arguments are passed as values into this, and this whole the result of this whole expression is returned in d, and d is returned. So now Let's run this function without passing the argument. So what type of error? We get error that missing three required positional arguments like A, B, C. So we are missing these errors. So let's pass the arguments. So let me pass some arguments like 3, 4, 6. Now we can see that it is returning our result. Now if we define another function, let me take this function again, and this time I am passing just only two arguments. So now I want this function to return the sum of values I pass to this function. Now this function is defined. Now if we call this function and we pass two values like 3 comma 5. Oh, sorry, I just called another function. Now you can see that it returns 8. And for the same function, if we call this function and pass string here, like then comma Ali. Now what we see that this function returns a concatenated result. Why this? Because we are passing two arguments. In Python we don't define that because we cannot define the type of the function. So it takes concatenation as result because we pass a string. So it concatenates a string for us. And if we run it, so we can get the concatenated string for us. Let's here take an other example. If we try to concatenate two lists and take another list. So now we can see that it has concatenated list for us. Now let's uh, try something else, like, so the basic rule of the programming is that if you want to learn the programming, we just have to practice different combinations. We don't have to just go in a straight line that what is being taught and just stick to it. No, we have just to explore everything. In like if we have some doubt, then we just have to go and search about it and try it ourselves, because this is the only method we can learn. So we can see that here if we try to add a set and a list, then it give us the error. So what error is unspotted operand. So we cannot perform this operation on set and a list. And if the same we perform, like if we take this again and let me just convert this to a set as well. So let me just convert this to a set. Now if you try to run, then also we are getting the same error, like set and set cannot perform the plus operand operation on it. We can see here that we cannot perform this operation on set and a list, and if we have both the sets, then even we cannot have this operation. So this is the basic ideology about learning programming, that we have to try different combinations and try to test ourselves rather than just going and spoon feeding. Like if I just teach something and you just practice that, that's not the solution. We just always have to try different combinations and try to learn ourselves with different combinations, so it resolves our doubts and also increase our curiosity to gain more understanding about the thing, that why it works and why it doesn't. Now let's take a list, and this list as string ali, comma, let's take another string inside it, like 3.5 comma 65. So now this is our list. So if we print our list, we can see that now we want to write a function that give me all the integers in this list. Like we want either these integers or these, we want both. So let's define a function for it, like define learn, and let's give name 5. So this function take an argument as a list, because if you pass the list, it has to perform the function on this list. So let's pass an argument. Let's take a list, and now we take an empty list here. So our list is empty, so we are taking an empty list here. Now we want to check for I in a. Yeah, a is nothing but our argument or the list we will pass to it. So what we want to check, that if type of I is equal to list, then what to do, then we want to iterate inside it. For j is nothing, it's just a name of variable. We can use it any number, any variable like m n o, what we want. So this is a standard used in programming, so we are using j in it. So what we want to append this in our empty list here. What we want to append, j. So our j gets appended in this. Now this is done for the list inside the list. Let first it check the list, and if it list, then append in it and check for the integer. Now we want else statement. Else if type of I is equal to integer, or type of I is equal to float, then what we have to do? Then we have to do nothing. We just have to append it in the list. Now what we want to do? Now we want to return the list, like all the where integers which are appended in this list. Now we want to just return this list. You can see that we are writing this out of the if and else block. So we are now returning the list. Now our function is completed. Now if we run our function and pass our list, so this is our list. So now we can see that it gets all the integers which are available in it. Now if we try to get the type of our function, like what functionality does it perform, like if we have type function, so we can see that what function does this function perform, the object type name base dictionary. So how can we do this for our function? Like we want to know that what does this function do. So we have to just use this triple quotes uh, at the start and the end, or we can use single quotes as well. So we can define here that what this function will do. So this function will get us all the integers from the list. Now we want to get the type of our function, that what is the type of our function. So now we can see that here what we are getting, that this function will get us all the integer from the list. So now if we hover over on function, then it automatically gives us the description about our function, that what this function exactly performs. So before this, we had studied that how to mm, pass or define a function with the parameters we want to pass it to. Like we want to pass two parameters, three. So the function will return this parameter for us. So what if we want to return or pass multiple arguments in our function? So there might be conditions that user want to insert different arguments and we want to perform operations on all those arguments. So it is not possible to write the total number of arguments, like if we want 10 arguments, 20, 50 or 60 arguments. So it would be very difficult to define those arguments. So instead of using this, we can use this star at the starting. Like here, if we define a function 6 and pass the star at the starting and we give this argument. So this is just a convention to use argument. We can use any variable name here, so we just have to return that arg. Now if we run this function, so our function runs perfectly. Now if we call this function without passing in any parameter or argument, so now we can see that it returns a tuple. Now it is not giving us any error. And if we try to pass it any integer, float, or any string, so any list or any string, like or any set or any tuple, like a comma 5 comma 3. Now we can see that if as we have passed these different arguments here, like 3, 4, number, integer, list, set, tuple, string. So all these are getting returned, and we are defined just star. So any number of arguments we can pass here, and these arguments are getting returned for us without any error. Let's further explore more about function arguments. So let me take function and we take star and arg comma a. Now we want that it take multiple arguments and also take a as an argument as well. A is nothing, just name of argument. We can use any name here, like we can use m. And so now we want to return arg comma m. Now we execute it, runs successfully. Now we pass the arguments to the function. So let me pass 3, 5, 6. Now we run it, gives us an error. So what error does this mean? Like is missing learn 7 function is missing one required keyword, only argument m. Now it is getting confused that either these arguments are for a star arg or m. So if we want that our function to get understanding of it, that what arguments are for what parameter or what values are getting assigned to it, so let us specifically define the value for that. Like for m we want 66. Now if we run this function, it will run exactly fine, and if we run again, then what it gets, it returned successfully. Now the arguments which we had passed these functions are in the args as returned as a tuple, and the m we had already defined 56, so it is getting passed in the same as it is passed in above. Here we had already defined value for them. So what if we want to overwrite the value of m? So we have to do nothing. We just have to change the value for it in the function here. Like for arguments, we are passing this value, and for m already we are defined 56. So here I want to define 44. So now if you check the value of m, so it is 44. Already it was 56. Now if we remove this m, so we can get the default value which is defined here for m. And if we want to overwrite, we just simply have to define here again the value of m. So now if we run, then we can see that here is the value of the m it returned for us. Now let's define here a function which takes dictionary as an argument. So let me define a function, and here we use double static, and then we can use any name. This like we can industry standard we use keyword args, but we can use any name. Like if I am using my name here, and then I am returning it, so it will execute successfully. Now if we check the type of our function, so like learn it, so it is returning as a dictionary. Now if we run this function here and we pass argument it in the form of dictionary, so let me pass here Zany Lee, comma b name equal to Zany, and if we take c as 34. Now if we run it, then we can see that here it returns our result in the form of a dictionary. So for A it is this, B and for name it is any, and C for value it contains 34. C is the key and the value is 34. So it's over for the today, and last thing I want to say here is that just try to learn with on yourself. Let's try to work on different permutations, the combinations and permutations, so that you can learn with your own self. Try to different methods and then run. Don't just see the lecture and write it, so that you are going in a straight line, you are getting all those what is seen here. Just try to run the program with different approach, so that you can learn that why it is working and why it is not. So that's all from my side, and thank you very much for watching the video. Bye.